Welcome, everyone. Shauna Corden here. Welcome to the Playbook for Performance podcast. Our mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. This month, we're talking about my new work, the book in the works, the working title being A New Dialogue. I'm quite excited about this. I want to mend a lot of fences and broken relationships between couples, teams, working parties, you name it. I want people to relearn how to speak to one another with some kindness. I'm writing this whole book because I think our culture has gone from this position of let's agree to disagree to this idea, if you don't think exactly like I do, I have no room for you. You're dead to me. And I really want to mend those fences. I want to create a sense of peace, even for those who don't think exactly like we do. About important issues. I think you can create this space by creating the capacity to breathe and leave room for differing opinions. We don't want that rich life tapestry to diminish by insisting that our diversity is a color wheel as opposed to diversity of thought. So I want to dig deeper. I want to get to the questions and situations that triggered what I call a pile-on among like-minded people. So let me elaborate. When I sense these situations about conflict, here's how it goes. People are with a group of somewhat strangers. They make a fairly innocent, simple comment to feel how the people around them think about that topic before they really launch into their true opinion. And this is a little bit of self-censorship. It's also a little bit of emotional intelligence. Obviously, we don't want to pick fights or create situations where it's not appropriate, but we do want to kind of feel like, is this a group that is friendly to my opinion about this? But once they feel that someone thinks the same way they do, they tend to have permission, give themselves permission to launch. And then if someone else adds fuel to the fire, piling on, they have even more courage to share how they feel. And in that process, people tend to generalize, they exaggerate, they leave out the points of their opponents that are similar to their own. They ignore those, they have temporary amnesia, and they lose this sense of collective humanity. So I may be talking about something quite simple, and clearly it's not a life and death situation. But when I talk about it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, those people who don't think like me, they are bad people. So it's not good. It creates more of this sense of this idea of, if you don't think like me, you're dead to me. So obviously, good people can do bad things. Bad people can do good things. And most of the issues that we are upset about are not moral compass issues. They are not right and wrong, but they are something that in coaching we talk about quite frequently, and that is integrity. And the definition of integrity is I am in alignment. Everything that I'm talking about is in alignment with my values. How I spend my money, how I spend my time, the words I use, the people I spend my time with, they are in alliance with my values. As opposed to, if you don't share my values, then you must be wrong. So I want to tap into a tool that Byron Katie uses. There is a great worksheet out there that we'll link in the show notes. You can Google it. It is the Judge My Neighbor worksheet from Byron Katie. The first question we ask is it true? Is that really true? Or are we generalizing for the sake of our argument and the camaraderie of our alliances? If it is a true logical discussion, we should be able to assume the other party's side and argue against ourselves. As a colleague of mine who is helping me with this research for the book related, his father fostered a very healthy debate atmosphere at the dinner table regularly. And he'd launch a topic. each son in the family would have to take a side. And then at the halfway point, they had to switch sides and argue for what they were just arguing against. I think that's super healthy. I think we need to do that for ourselves. When we start accusing others of being stupid, selfish, you name the insult, that we should really get in there and say, I'm not so sure about this. Let me think about this more. Let me approach it from the other side. How can we step into their shoes? The only way we can do that is to breathe. We need to breathe in that space, create some space, create some peace with us, not get caught up in the frenzy of this feel-good, like-minded generalization where I'm like, hey, I got my allies, I'm good. I don't have to worry about whether I'm making mistakes or not. Our allies make us feel like we have reinforcements in the challenges. They give us power, momentum, and it makes us feel like someone has our back if we're cornered. This is like the second principle in gaming. The first is accept the challenge. Number 2 is form alliances. But after the fact, after the dinner party, the book group, the, tailgating, whatever is happening where this pile-on is happening, do we feel good about ourselves if we reflect? Do we not feel some regret in the challenge or exaggeration? If we had to switch points of view and argue for the other side, would we think, oh, I was unfair? Again, testing with that question, is that really true? So last week, we launched our first phase of the survey. We're asking people to think back over the last couple of years. What are the 3 topics related to politics, to the pandemic, to your relationships that have caused you the most regret? It might be that you said some things that you can't take back, or you argued for a point of view because you were so emotional and you escalated and spiraled, but you didn't really mean everything that you said. You were caught in the moment, and now you are maybe embarrassed or reluctant to take it back. I don't want to lead the witness here, but we would love to get your input. We want to make sure that the book has a lot of data in it that shows what's important to people and what were the triggers and what caused the fallout that happened. So check out the link in the show notes. We've got the survey link below, and I thank you in advance for your input. And if you have a situation that you want to share that we could dissect in a coaching session and solve together, maybe it's a fallout between you and your team, you and a colleague, you and a partner, we really want to help. We want to make sure that the steps that we're proposing in this new dialogue are the ones that will really make sure that you can mend fences. We want a peaceful world. So if you're interested, please send us a note to podcast@shawnacorden.com. In the meantime, I want you to take good care, and we'll see you all next week.